Hello friends, my name is Som. Now we will see power sharing. Chapter number 1, Politics. First, Belgium and Sri Lanka. Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in area than the state of Haryana. It has boundary with France. It has the boundary with the France, the Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. It has population of little over 1 crore, about half the population of Haryana. The ethnic composition of this small country is very complex. Of the country's total population, 59% live in the Flemish region and speak Dutch language. Another 40% people live in the Wallonia region and speak French. Remaining 1% of the people uh, speak Belgians speak German. In the capital of Brussels, 80% people speak French, while 20% of Dutch are Dutch speaking. The majority French-speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. This was resented by the Dutch-speaking community, who got the benefit of economic development. The education much later. This leads to tension between the Dutch speaking and French speaking communities during the 1950s, the 1960s. The tension between these two communities was more acute in Brussels presented a special problem. The Dutch-speaking people consisted a majority in the country but in minority in the capital. Let us compare this to the situation in another country, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island country just few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. It has about 2 crore people, about the same as in Haryana. Like other nations is in the South Asia region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. The major social groups are the Sinhala speaker, 74%, and the Tamil speakers 18%. 74% and the Tamil speakers 18%. Among Tamils, there are two subgroups. Tamil native of the country are called Sri Lankan Tamils, 13%. The rest whose forefathers came from India and as plantation workers became during colonial periods are called Indian Tamils. As you can see from this map, Sri Lanka Tamil are concentrated in the north and east of the country. Most of the Sinhala speaking peoples are Buddhist, while most of the Tamils are Hindus or Muslim. There are about 7% Christians who are about Tamil and Sinhala. Just imagine what could happen in situation like this. In Belgium, the Dutch communities could take advantages of the numeric majority and force it will on the French and German speaking population. This would push the conflict among communities further. This could lead to a very messy partition of the country. Both the side would claim control over Brussels. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community enjoyed an even more bigger majority and could impose its will on the entire country. Now let us look at what happened in both these countries. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. The leader of the Sinhala communities sought for secure domains over government by virtue of their majority. As the result, the democratically elected government adopt a series of majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. In 1956, an act was passed on recognizing Sinhala as the only official language, thus discarding Tamil. The government followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applications of university position and government jobs. A new constitution stipulated at the state shall protect the forest for foster Buddhism. All these government measures coming on after the other gradually increased the feeling of alienation among the Sri Lankan Tamil. They felt that no one of major political parties led by the Buddhist Sinhala leaders was sensitive to their language and culture. They felt that the constitution and government policies denied them equal political rights, discriminated against them in getting jobs and other opportunities and ignored their interests. As a result, the relations between the Sinhala and Tamil communities strained over the time. Strained over time. The Sri Lankan Tamils launched parties and struggled for the recognition of Tamil as an official language for regional autonomy and equal to opportunity in securing education and jobs. But there are demand for more autonomy to province populated by the Tamil was repeatedly denied. By 1980, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil Ilam in northern and eastern part of Sri Lanka. The disturbs dis- the distrust between the two communities turned into widespread conflict. It soon turned into a civil war. As a result, thousands of people of both the communities have been killed. Many families are forced to leave the country and refugees and many more lost their livelihood. You have read chapter 1 of economic textbook class 10 about Sri Lanka excellent record of economic development, education and health, but the civil war has caused a terrible setback of the social, cultural and economical life of the country. Accommodation in Belgium. The Belgium leader took a different path. The recognized the existence of regional difference and cultural diversities, but between 1970s and 1993, they amended and constitution for time so as to work out an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country. The arrangement they worked out is different from any other country and is very innovative. There are some of the elements of the Belgian model. Compositions prescribes the home geo. Constitution prescribed that the number of Dutch and French-speaking ministers shall be equal in the uh, central government. Some special law require the support of majority of members for each linguistic group. Thus, no single community can make a decision unilaterally. Many power of the central government have been given to state government of the two regions of the country. The state government are also subordinated to the central government. Brussels as a separate government in which both the communities have equal representation. The French speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch speaking communities have adopted equal representation in the central government. Apart Apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government. This community This community governments is elected by people belonging to one language community. Dutch, French, and German speaking. Where they live, no matter where they live, Germ- this government has the power regarding cultural, educational, and language related issue. You might find a Belgian model very complicated. It indeed is very complicated even for people living in Belgium, but there this arrangement has worked well so far. They they helped to avoid civil strife between the two major communities and a possible division of the country on linguistic lines when many countries of Europe came together to form the European Union. Brussels was chosen as its headquarters. What do we learn from these two stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka? Both are democracies, they differ. Yet they democracies, yet they dealt with the questions of power sharing differently. In Belgium, the leaders have realized that the unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feeling and interest of different communities and regions. Such a realization resulted in a mutual acceptable arrangement for power. Sri Lanka show us a contrasting example. It shows us that if a majority community want to force its dominancy over other the refugees to share power, it can undermine the unity of the country. Why was power sharing is so desirable? Thus, the power seats Thus, two different seats of regions can be given in favor of power sharing. Firstly, power sharing is good because it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups since social conflict often lead to violence as political instability. Power sharing is good a way to ensure the stability of political order. Imposing the will of majority community over other may over other may look like an attractive opinion in the short run, but in the long run it and the undermines the unity of the nation. Tyranny tyranny of the majority is not just oppressive for the majority; it often brings ruin to the majority as well. There is a second, a deeper reason why power sharing is good for democracies. Very spirit Power sharing is very spirit of is the very spirit of democracy. The democratic rulers involve searching power with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with its effects. The people have a right to be conciliated on how they are to be governed. The the legitimate legitimate government is one of their citizens through participation required to stake in the system. Let us call the first set of reason prudential. Prudential. And the second moral, while prudential reasons treat the power sharing will bring out better outcome, moral source emphasize the very act of power sharing and valuable. Habel's dilemma. As usual, Vikrams was driving the motorbike under a vow of silence, and Vettel was the pillion rider. As usual, Vettel started telling Vikram the story to keep him awake while driving. This time, the story went as follows. In the city of Beirut, there lived a man called Khalil. His parents came from different communities. His father was an Orthodox Christian and mother a Sunni Muslim. This was not so uncommon in this modern compilation city. People from various communities that lived in Lebanon came to live in its capital, Beirut. They lived together, intermingled, intermingled, yet fought a bitter civil war among themselves. One of Khalil's uncle was killed in this war. At the end of the civil war, Lebanon's leader came together and agreed to some basic rules of power sharing among different communities. As per these rules the country's president must belong to the Maronite sect of Catholic Christians. The Prime Minister must from the Sunni Muslim community. The post of a deputy Prime Minister is fixed for Orthodox Christian sect, and that of the Speaker of Shia Muslim. Under this pact, the Christians agreed not to seek. French Protestants and the Muslims agreed not to seek unification with the neighboring states of Syria. When the Christians and Muslims came to this agreement, they were nearly equal in population. Both sides have continued to respect this agreement. Through now, the Muslims are in clear majority. Khalil does not like this system one bit. He is a popular man with political ambition, but under the present system, the top position is out of his reach. He does not practice either his father or his mother religion, and does not wish to be known by either. He cannot understand why Lebanon can't be like any other normal democracy. Just hold an election, allow everyone to contest, and whoever wins maximum votes become the president, no matter which community he come from. Why can't we do this like in other democracies of the world? We ask these elders has who have seen the bloodsheds of the civil war tell him that the present system is the best guarantee for peace. The story was not finished, but they had reached the TV tower where they stopped every day. Vettel wrapped up quickly and posed his customary question to Vikram: if you had the power to rewrite the rule in Lebanon, what would you do? Would you adopt the regular rules followed everywhere as Khalil's suggestion, or stick to the old rules, or do something else? Vettel did not forget to remind Vikram of their basic pact. If you have an answer in mind and yet you not speak up, your mobile will freeze, and so will you. Forms of power sharing. The idea of power sharing has emerged in opposition to the nations of undivided political power. For a for a long time, it was believed that a power of a government must reside in a person or government of person located at one place. It was felt that if the power to decide is despaired, it would not be possible to take quick decision and to enforce them. But these nations have changed with the emergency of democracy. One basic principle of democracy is the people are the source of all political power. In a democracy, people rule themselves through incision of governance. In a good democracy, government due respect is given to diverse group and view the exists in a social society. Everyone has a voice in the shaping of public policies. Therefore, it follows that in a democracy, political power should be distributed among many citizens as possible. In modern democracies, power sharing arrangements can take many forms. Let us look at some of the common arrangement that we have or will come across. Power is shared among different organs of government, such as the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Let us call this horizontal distribution of power because it allows different organs of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers. Such a separation ensures that one of the organ can exercise unlimited power, each organ check the other. This result in a balance of power among various institutions. Last year we studied that in democracy, even though ministers are government officials exercise power, they are responsible to the parliament or state assembly. Similarly, although judges are appointed by the executive, they can check the function of the executive or law made by the legislative. This arrangement is called system of checks and balance. Second, power can be shared among government at different levels. A general government for the entire country and governments at the provincial or regional level. Such a general government of the entire country is usually called federal government. In India, we refer to it as the central or union government. The government as the provincial or regional level, the regional levels are called by different names in different countries in India. We call them state governments. These systems is not followed in all countries. There are many countries where there are no provincial or state government. But in those countries like ours where there are different levels of government, the governments, the constitution clearly lays lays down the power of lays down the power of different level of government. This is what they did in Belgium but was refused in Sri Lanka. This is called federal division of power. Level of This is what they do in Belgium but was refused in Sri Lanka. This is called federal division of power. The same principle can be extended to level of governments lower than the state government such as the municipality and panchayats. Let us call division of power involving higher and lower level of government vertical division of power. We shall study this at some length in the next chapter. Third, power may also be started among different social groups such as the power may also be shared among different social groups such as the religious and linguistic groups. Community government in Belgium is a good example of large of this arrangement. In some countries there are constitutional and legal arrangement where by social weaker sections and women are represented in the linguist legislature and administration. Last year, we studied the system of reserved constituencies in assemblies and the parliament of our country. This type of arrangement is meant to give one space in the government and administration to diverse social groups who otherwise would feel aliened from the government. This method is used to give minority communities a fair share in power. In unit second, we shall look at various ways to accommodate social diversities. Power sharing arrangements can also be seen in the way political parties, pressure groups, and movements control the groups and movement control all influence those in power in democracy. In the citizens must have freedom to choose among various condensers for power. In contemporary democracies, this take the form of competition among different parties. Such competitions ensures that power does not remain in one hand. In the long run, power is shared among different political parties. These present different ideologies and social groups. Sometimes this kind of sharing can be direct when two or more parties form an alliances to contest election. If their alliance is if their alliance is elected, they form a coalition government and thus they share power in a democracy. We find interest groups such as those of traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers, and industrial workers. They also will have a share in government power, either through prac- participation uh, in governmental communities or beginning influence on the decisions making process. In unit third, we shall study the working of political parties, pressure, government, and social movements. We have now completed chapter number 1. Now we will move to our next economic chapter, first development. Now we will see economic chapter development. The idea of development or process has always been with us. We have inspiration or desire, desired about what we would like to do and how we would like to live. Similarly, we have ideas about what a country should be like. What are the essential things that we require? Can life be better for all? How be more equality? Development involves things about these questions and about the ways in which we can work towards achieving these goals. This is a complex task, and in this chapter, we shall make a beginning at understanding development. You will learn more about these issues in greater depth in higher classes. Also, you will find answer to many of these questions, not just in economic but also in your course in history and political science. This is because the way we live today is influenced by the past. We can't desire for change without being aware of this. In the same way, it is also through the democratic political process that these hopes and possibilities can be achieved in real life. However, it will be wrong to conclude that what cannot be measured is not important. Consider another example. If you get a job in a far off place, before accepting it, you would try to consider many factors apart from income, such as facilities for your family, working atmosphere, or opportunity to learn. In another case, a job may give you less pay but may offer regular employment that enhance your sense of security. Another job another job, however, may offer high pay but not job security and also live on time for your family. This will reduce your sense of security and freedom. Similarly, for development, people look at a mix of goals. It is true that if women are engaged in paid work, their dignity in the household and society increases. However, it is also the case that if there is respect for women, there would be more sharing of housework and a greater expectance of a woman working outside. A safe and secure environment may allow more women to take up a variety of jobs or run a business. Hence, the development goals that people have are not only about better income but also about their important things in life. So our first topic is national development. If as we have seen above, individuals seek different goals, then their nation or a national development is also likely to be different. Discuss among yourself on what India should do for development. like most like you would find that different students in the class have given different answers to the above questions. In fact, you might yourself think of many different answers to and not be too sure of any of these. It is very important to keep in mind that different different person could have different as well as confidentiation of a country development. However, you can all however can all of the idea be considered equally important, or if these are conflicts, how these one decide what would be fair and just path of all. We also have to think wherever tenure is a better way of doing number of people for only a small group. Nation development means thinking about this question. Our next topic is how to compare different countries or states. You might ask, if development can mean different things, who come some countries are generally called developed and other underdeveloped? Before we come to this, let us consider another question. When we compare different things, what they could have similarities as well as difference. Which expects do we use to compare them? Let us look at students in the class itself. How do how do we compare different students? They differ in their height, health, talent, and interests. The healthiest student may not be the most studious one, may not be the most studious one. The most intelligent student may not be the friendliest one. So, how do we compare students? The criteria we the the criteria we may use development on the purpose of comparison. We use different criteria to choose a sports team, a debate team, a music team, or a team to organize a picnic. For if for some pur- purpose we have to choose the certain for the all round progress of children in the class. Who shall we do it? How shall we do it? Usually, we take one or more important characteristics of person and compare them based on these characteristics. Of course, there can be difference about what are import, important characteristics that should form the basis of comparison, friendliness, and a spirit of cooperation, creativity, or marks secondary secured. This is true of development too. For comparing countries, their income is considered to be one of the most important attributes. Countries with the highest incomes are countries with the highest develops are most developed than other within less income. This is based on the understanding that more income means more of all things than human being needs. Whatever people like and should have, they will be able to get within greater income. So greater income itself is considered to be one important goal. Now, what is the income of a country? Intuitively, the income of the country is the income of all the residents of the country. This gives us the total income of the country. However, for comparison between countries, total income is not such an useful measure since countries have different population. Comparing total income will not tell us what an average person is likely to earn. Are people are people in our country better off than other in a different country? Hence, we compare the average income, which is the total income of the country divided by its total population. The average income is also called per capita income. Inward development response brought out by the World Bank. This criteria is used in classifying countries. Countries which with per capita income of US dollar 12736 per per annum and about in 2013 are called rich country, and those with per capita income of US dollar 1045 or less are called below low income countries. India came in the criteria of low middle income countries because its per capita income in 2013 was just US dollar 1570 per annum. The rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and criteria, other small countries are generally called developed countries. Now we will move to our next topic, income and other criteria. When we look at individual aspiration and goals, we found that people not only think of better income but also have goals such as security, respect for other equal treatment, freedom, etc. in mind. Similarly, when we think of a nation or a region, we may, beside average income, think of other equally important attributes. What could these attributes be? Let us examine this through an example. Table 1.3 gives the per capita income of Maharashtra, Kerala, and Bihar. Actually, these figures are of per capita net state domestic product at current price for 2012 13. Let us ignore what this complete what this complicated term actually exactly means. Roughly, we can take it to be per capita income of the state. We find that of the three, Maharashtra has the highest per capita income and Bihar is at the bottom. This measures that on the This measures on earning rupees 10400 in 1 year, whereas on an average a person in Bihar would earn only around rupees 27,200. So if per capita income were to be used as the measure of development, Maharashtra will be considered the most developed and Bihar is the least developed state of the three. Now let us look other data pertaining to these states given in table 1.4. What does this table show? The first column of table shows that in Kerala, out of 1,000 children born, 12 die before completing 1 year of age. But in Maharashtra, the portion of children dying within 1 year of birth was 25, which is more than double one more than double. On the other hand, the per capita income of Maharashtra is more than the Kerala, as shown in the table 1.3. Just think of how dear you are to your parents. Think of whoever one is so happy when a child is born. Now try to think of parents whose children died before they even celebrate their first birthday. How painful it must be to to these parents. Next, note the year to which this data permits. It is 2012. So we are not talking of old time. It is more than 65 years after independence, when our metro town are full of high rise buildings and shopping malls. The problem does not ends with infant mortality rate. The last column of table 1.4 shows around two-thirds of children aged 14-15 and in Bihar are not attending schools beyond class 8. This means that if you went to school in Bihar, more than two-thirds of your class would be missing. Those who could have been in school are not there. If this had happened to you, you would not be able to read what you are reading now. Next is public facilities. How is it that the average person in Maharashtra has more income than the average person in Kerala but lag behind in this crucial area? The reason is money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. So, income by itself is not a completely adequate indicators of material goods and services that citizens are able to use. For example, normally your money cannot buy you a pollution free environment or ensure that you get unadulterated medicine unless you can afford to shift it a community that already has all these things. Money may also not be able to protect you from infections diseases unless the whole of your community take preventive steps. Actually, for many of the important things in life, the best way, also the cheapest way, is to provide these goods. Cheapest way is to provide these goods and services collectively. Just things will be cheaper to have collective security for the whole locality or for each house to have its own security man. What if no one other than you in your village or a locality is interested in studying? Would you be able to study? Not unless your parents would afford to send you to school, to some private school some elsewhere, so you are actually able to study because many of their children also want to study and based on and because many people believe that the government should open school and provide other facilities so that all children have a chance to study. Even now I in many area children particularly girls are not able to achieve secondary level schooling because government society has not provided adequate facilities. Isn't it surprising that a small country in our neighboring Sri Lanka is much ahead of India in every respect, and a big country like ours has such a low rank in the world? Table 1.6 also shows that through Nepal has less than half the per capita income of India, yet it is not far behind India in the expectancy and literacy level. Many importance has been suggested in calculating HDI, and many new composition have been. added to the human development report, but by prefixing human to development, it has made it very clear that what is important in development, what is happening to citizen of a country. It is people, their health, their well-being that is most important. Do you think there are certain other aspect that should be considered in measuring human development? Next is sustainability of development. Suppose for the present that a particular country is quite developed, we would certainly like these levels of development to go up further, or at least to maintain for future generation. This is obviously half of the 20th century. A number of scientists have been warning that the present type and level of development are not sustainable. Groundwater is an example of renewable resource. These resources are replenished by nature as in the case of crops and plant. However, even these source resources may be overused. For example, in the case of groundwater, if we use more than what is being replenished, the rain, then we would be overusing the resources. Now, renewable resources are those which will get exhausted after year of use. We have a fixed stock on earth which cannot be replenished. We do cover we do discover new resources that we did not know of early. New resources in this may this way add to the new stock. However, over time, even this will get exhausted. Consequences of environmental degradation do not respect national or state boundaries. This issue no longer region or a nation specific, or further is linked together. Sustainability of development is comparatively a new area of knowledge in which scientists, economists, philosophers, and other social scientists are working together. In general, the questions of development or process is perennial at a time. As a member of society and as individual, we need to ask where we want to go, what we wish to become, and what our goals are. So be debate on development countries. This was our economics chapter 1 development. Thank you friends. Stay study with me. Bye bye.